Listen, right now the Raiders are at a fork in the road. Do the Raiders go out and sign Sam Darnold or another free agent like Aaron Rodgers or somebody like Justin Fields, who may be a free agent? Or do the Raiders make a trade for somebody? Or do the Raiders try and draft a quarterback this year, i.e., Shador Sanders or Cam Ward or a Jackson Dart or somebody else that you guys like out there? Drop your comments and let me know what you guys are thinking the Raiders should do in that regard. Or option number 3 is you go with Aidan O'Connell. Now, the guest that I'm going to be having coming on here pretty soon is a guy who has been advocating for Aidan O'Connell quite a bit. And he's going to give his 2 cents on why that is. Let's get started with some of the other stuff. Before we get into the quarterback situation, let's get started with some of the other stuff that's going on with the Raiders. Now, the Raiders did sign a guy off a practice squad who has some connections to Chip Kelly. He's a wide receiver. I honestly don't know that much about him, but that being said, he did play at UCLA when Chip was the head coach there. Chip believes in him, and he could be a good rotational guy. Obviously, you got to get Robert Spillane. You got to get Nate Hobbs. You got to get Moreg. You've got to, upgrade some positions there. And you got to re-sign Max Crosby to a new deal. Now, Max Crosby has 2 years left on his deal, but you've got to re-sign him and give him a contract extension, and you got to give him some guaranteed money. At the same time, I think that the Raiders really need to go out, and when they're dealing with Max Crosby, they need to explain to him, listen, you want to be on a championship team. You have the heart of a champion. You play like a champion. Now it's time for you to want to win like a champion, like Tom Brady did. Take a team-friendly extension. We're going to guarantee you money. We're going to give you a boatload of it, but it's got to be 4 years down the road. Everybody give a big round of applause to my boy, Darrell Creighton, the administrators over on our Facebook group, and a former radio personality covering the Raiders. What's going on, Big Darrell?
Mike, how you doing? It's Saturday afternoon in Houston where I'm at, and it's incredibly cold and it's raining. So I'm ready to talk about the Raiders inside
Uh-oh,
the
we
one.
lost audio there for a second.
That means somebody doesn't want me to talk about Aiden O'Connell.
Oh, no. Not the Raiders should go free agency? Should we go draft? Or should you put all your eggs in Aiden O'Connell basket? Right? So I'm going to let you go ahead and I want you to break down those 3 scenarios. Right? And you can only choose one. You can't say free agency and Aiden O'Connell. You can't say draft and Aiden O'Connell. You're only choosing one. Who's going to be the starter? You got 3 options. Sam Darnold, Shador Sanders, or Cam Ward, but I don't think he'll be on the board. Possibility that Shador is, or Aiden O'Connell. Who you got and why?
First person I'm going to tell you, and the only person I'm going to tell you, is Aiden O'Connell, because he's the one that's been here. He was drafted here. When it comes to this team, I don't think anybody can deny this. This team has been dysfunctional. No, I'm going to roll with O'Connell, man. This team there has been no stability whatsoever when it came to this team this side of the year 2000. With that being said, if you are going to hire somebody like Pete Carroll after having Dave Ziegler, even though I realize he was not the coach, Dave Ziegler, of course, Josh McDaniels, if you're going to go through Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, if you're going to go through all this instability with somebody that you decided to draft, by the way, I know everybody loves Tom Brady, right? Keep in mind, it's my understanding that Tom Brady had something to do with Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels even being here to begin with. So if you are going to have what is called a Patriots West, I get it. We don't like the term, but it is what it is. If we are going to have a Patriots West, then you have to look for somebody that reminds you of Tom Brady. And who better to select that person in the draft than Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, because they know him better than anyone else. If there's a player in the draft that reminded me of Brady, when it comes to footwork, when it comes to his throwing motion, his calmness within the pocket, his calm demeanor, basically everything that Brady was all the way back in the year 1999. Because we have to forget, well, let's not forget, shall I say, Tom Brady and Aidan O'Connell were both eighth on the depth chart when they first got to college. Am I correct?
Yep.
All right. So if you're going to give all of these great things with Pete Carroll, if you're going to give him, well, if you're going to come in and give a great offensive line, if you're going to come in and give him elite weapons, if you're going to re-sign all the free agents and fix the defense, then why would you bring somebody who has not been through all this bull crap with this team and give them all of that? It's better to give it to the players that's already there. Aidan O'Connell, I think the world of that kid. I do. I I loved Antonio Pierce. You need to understand that. I'm one of the people that vouched for him. When that man
I
became the
did
head
too.
coach, yeah, I was all for it. I'm not the one to ever turn my back on somebody I supported, but I'm going to tell you right now, I realize, and I don't know if this is a good thing, I don't know if this is a bad thing, nor do I care. When that man by the name of Antonio Pierce, after the second preseason game, and I believe that was on a Saturday night. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it was because the following day on Sunday, on a Zoom meeting, this dude by the name of Antonio Pierce walks on here and says the reason why he makes the announcement that we're going to roll with Gardner Minshew as the starter. If you can recall, he said one of the reasons why he's doing it, one of the reasons he announced was because he said Gardner Minshew stays on script. When he said that, the moment he said that, I turned my back on Antonio Pierce because I knew
But
that was
look,
a lie.
but look, we all know now. Remember
Mm-hmm.
his last press conference before he got fired. We all know what really happened. And I was saying it all season. I guarantee you, Gardner Minshew is not his choice. He is being forced to make this decision. And I think that when he said in his last presser on that Monday before he got fired, when they
Mm-hmm.
asked him, was putting Gardner Minshew a mistake and would you have done things different? He said
Mm-hmm.
absolutely it was a mistake. And this time around, I'm going to have more say who the quarterback is. So he basically just let all the tea leaves out there. He showed the entire world who made that decision was not him, that he
It
was
makes
overridden.
it makes you wonder: did Luke Getzey make the call on that, or Tom Telesco? It was one of the two.
I think it
When
was
you
Tom. You could see the break in their relationship
right,
when he was asked about Devontae Adams and the trade there, and he was like, "Go ask Tom Telesco.
right.
Don't ask me." So you
I
could
yeah.
see that there was a break, and because I talked to a couple of people within the organization, people who tend to stick around despite who the coach is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they told me that there was immense tension going on between Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco over decisions that were being made. And so I think what happened was Mark Davis hires an unproven coach and it made him nervous. So he goes and he brings in Tom Telesco, who's got all this experience,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically put him in charge over Antonio Pierce. And I think Tom Telesco was trying to act like a coach. I think he said, I brought in Gardner Minshew. I gave him the contract. You
Mm-hmm.
start him. And that was it. And that was it. And it turned into an absolute disaster.
It backfired due to the fact that okay, let me give you some. This is a contradiction. I saw Antonio Pierce say numerous times last year. This is when Aiden O'Connell was number 4, which that was ridiculous. Anyway, besides that, he kept saying he wanted to bring the deep ball back the way we used to be in the 80s. And he was all about that, which made sense. So why in the hell would you bring Gardner Minshew to a team for deep ball purposes when he himself is more of like Jimmy Garoppolo? He's a short to intermediate passer, and he cannot sit behind the pocket. That's not his strength because he's only 6'1". You have your offensive line. I mean, for crying out loud, on the left side, the guy's 6'8". Talking about
Yeah.
Colton Miller, somebody who's 6'1" behind people that are 6'5", 6'5", 6'7", 6'8". He can't see over the line, which he wound up getting happy feet because of that. And That's something that people said Aidan had last year. But I looked at Aidan this year. Not one time did I see any plays where he had happy feet. And I saw one. I'm going to have to acknowledge one of your subscribers. They think that Aidan O'Connell is just a backup. The only reason why you think that is because you think that. A lot of people think that he's a backup, but he's never had the team built around him so that he can show you what he can do. I mean, the guy went to Purdue. Regardless of what people think about Purdue, I know for a fact that Drew Brees went there. So that's not a bad college. Give, and this whole Sam Darnold and now Matthew Stafford, I'm getting that one too. People want them to come here. Last I checked, that's the same exact style in terms of their play. That's the same exact style of Aidan O'Connell. So you mean to tell me
he's essentially the same quarterback?
He's absolutely the same quarterback, and he has better upside because he's young. Now, with that being said, you mean to tell me you want to fix the O-line, add more weapons, make the defense solid, even more solid. Let's cut away from the injuries. Let's sign some free agents. Let's sign our own free agents. You mean to tell me you want somebody who comes from a completely different team, a completely different state, to come over here when the team is fixed and lead them, when you're skipping over the man that you drafted that could do the same thing? I can understand if you wanted somebody to come here that's a running quarterback. But to bring somebody over here who plays the same exact damn style as Aidan O'Connell when he could do the same thing, I think is ridiculous. Give that young man a chance. I believe he can do it. He changed this number out for Derek Carr from 4 to 12. And I think you know what I'm about to say to you. Tom Brady met with Aidan O'Connell. Aidan O'Connell's favorite player in life is absolutely Tom Brady.
He did more than that. He gave Aidan O'Connell his personal dietitian and trainer.
Yeah, you took that away from me because I was about to say that. But hey,
I beat you to it.
Yeah, you beat me to it. Now, do you really think? And for all of you haters of Aidan O'Connell, the ones that don't favor him, do you really think that Tom Brady, who was not the owner yet, it had not been finalized, do you really think he's going to come to the facility, exchange phone numbers with Aidan O'Connell, talk to Aidan O'Connell? Do you really think he's going to give him his personal dietitian and his personal trainer?
Yeah, but I don't think that Tom Brady would give Aidan O'Connell his dietitian and his personal trainer if he was going to be a career backup. That doesn't make sense. Gardner Minshew probably won't be here. I've been hearing reports he's not. Am I correct?
He's not going to be here. They'll cut him. They'll cut him post June 1st and save $11 million.
I simply don't trust Shador in Sin City. Now, Aidan O'Connell, he's not a social media person. He'll tell you that to your face. He doesn't care about social media. He doesn't care. The only thing he cared about is just the playbook, his God. We all know he has great faith. He cares about God and football. And that sounds like John Gruden, because that's all John Gruden ever wanted out of any player. I care about the kid. I want the kid to still be here. I want him to be our starter. I'm telling you right now, if we got Shador Sanders, if they got Sam Darnold, if they got Matthew Stafford, or anybody that's not Aidan O'Connell starting, I'm going to be upset.